and final decision came that we should make the first purpose-built mosque in the city of Philadelphia.
It's an excitement you can't explain. It's just a dream come true.
Whew, this mosque, brother, is going to open up so many opportunities for mankind.
There was definitely a lot of sacrifice, a lot of people wanting to help with this wonderful cause.
That's what we need in the community. We need brotherly love. We need, from what I see with the Ahmadiyya community, that's what they do. That's what your community do.
ऐ हुस्न के जादू मुझे दीवाना बना दे, ऐ शम्मे रुख अपना मुझे परवाना बना.
Welcome to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, best known for its tolerance and acceptance of racial and spiritual diversity. Located around 100 miles west of New York and in the state of Pennsylvania, the city was the starting point for the spread of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community in the USA with the arrival of Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib, may Allah be pleased with him, who came to these shores in 1920.
This is the important place where the first missionary, Hazrat Mufti Muhammad Sadiq, landed February 15, 1920, not too far from here where we have this mosque. He stayed here up till 1923. He traveled from here to New York and eventually settled in Chicago.
One of the first Salat centers that we had was 1900 block of South Street in the 60s. And then we moved from that location and we moved into another location on 52nd Street. That was another little smaller storefront. We moved from that location to Uncle Munir Hamid's house.
With the grace of Allah, Ahmadiyyat, the true Islam, continued to flourish in Philadelphia. With the community expanding, the need for a dedicated Salat center became apparent.
One time in West Philly, they had bought a building actually. They lost the building, so they started praying in a room. They lost the room, they started praying on the roof. But they stuck together, that was the key.
Munir Hamid Sahib was the main guy who motivated us that we should get a place in the inner city at that time.
Then a few of them got together and they purchased the building on 10th Street, and they were struggling to make that happen. In fact, at the last minute, money came out of nowhere so that they can finish the purchase of that.
It was very hard for us even to raise $42,000 at that time. There were very few members who were living in Philadelphia. Alhamdulillah, finally we were able to raise that money, and that was our headquarters in Philadelphia. In that place, the Lajna go upstairs and the men stay on the first floor. Then finally Sheikh Mubarak Ahmad Sahib, our missionary in charge, and he gave us some money to renovate the garage in the back, which we call it now Masjid-e-Nasr.
When I decided that I wanted to be Muslim, I had a chance to visit other mosques as well. But what I felt from that mosque, even though it was a converted garage, the other mosques could not touch it as far as the spiritual essence of it, and that was one of the reasons too why I continued to stay at this particular mosque at that time. It wasn't the size, it wasn't the location, it's how you felt, the peace and the people, the love.
So that's kind of like the historical evolution of how we moved from place to place, but we started out in the 60s on South Street. And from my understanding there was the Zafullah Khan, I'm pleased when he used to visit this place down there on South Street.
Nasr Mosque was brimming with worshipers to its capacity. For larger events, such as Eid, a separate hall had to be rented. With limited expansion options at the current site, the Philadelphia chapter of the Ahmadiyya community sought guidance from the national headquarters.
We have been at that place for many years. After maybe 12 or 15 years, we are really looking again for a new place of worship because that is becoming small and small. We got a place in Yardley, Pennsylvania. We bought that piece of property, which was 7 acres of land, too far for almost all the Jamaat members, especially living in Delaware. They have to travel 75 miles to coming to that place. With the permission of respected Amir Sahab at that time, Ehsanullah Zafar, we decided that we will sell that property and make a purpose-built mosque in the center of the city of Philadelphia.
So we found this, great looking lot, and we noticed that most streets in Philadelphia are north to south, east to west. So that's not the right Qibla direction. But when you start looking at this lot, it's on Glenwood Avenue, which is a cross-cut street. So that makes the lot almost in the right direction for the Qibla, which, was a great sign for us that, hey, this lot is really, something.
A lot of prayers went into getting this location because many of the elders in particular, Uncle Winnie Hamid and Uncle Bilal and Auntie Salma Ghani and, Auntie Najwa Dawood, these older people, they always wanted to have a mosque in an urban setting.
The first step, of course, is zoning. So we contacted several attorneys to see what the zoning process would be.
In this project, we focused on a very organic approach, a community building approach, to share with the people who live in the Broad and Glenwood community what we were hoping to bring to their neighborhood and to be welcomed by them.
Eventually we got to the zoning hearing. So at this point we have a conceptual design. We took it to the zoning hearing and we presented to the board.
It was an anxious time because really we didn't know that we were going to get it.
The attorney presented the project, there was a discussion.
Then in front of the zoning board, and from the zoning board, all the MD members at that time, close to 38, went there.
We appeared before the Zoning Board of Adjustment. We were well prepared, on the same page, had the backing of the various constituencies.
The attorney said, okay, anybody who's in favor of this project, please stand up. And from my point of view, it looked like everybody in the room stood up. So I mean, alhamdulillah, people there from other areas, they were, for other projects, they stood up. And it was an amazing sight, to see that everybody stood up and was in favor. And then when people were asked who was not in favor, nobody said anything.
And I think it's safe to say in reflection on the process that it turned out exactly the way we had wanted it to.
Construction started on the foundations for the mosque. As per any construction project, there were some real challenges that the local team had to overcome.
When we did start digging and excavating for the foundation, there was a concern about existing foundations and things. This actually stopped the project for several months. And it was a big roadblock that we thought that, we may not cross. And we had to get engineers out here. And alhamdulillah, we were able to remove that roadblock. During the construction process, we did have a work stoppage due to funding. And again, through Hazur's guidance, we got through that roadblock and kept moving forward.
Once the zoning and designs were approved, the purpose-built mosque was soon to become a reality.
In 2012, Hazur visited America for the U.S. Jalsa. During that time, a small group of people from Philadelphia went to present the design at that time to Hazur. And alhamdulillah, he was very happy to see the progress, and he saw that we had a Ahmadiyya architect, Shafiq Malik Sahab, give his concept and a starting point for the local architect to design the project. During the construction process, about halfway through the construction, one of the adjacent property owners stopped by the site. and said, hey, you know, we saw you doing construction, we have this lot next door, and we're trying to maintain it, but we're having a little bit of difficulty maintaining the lot. So, you know, Bilal Sahib said that, hey, are you guys interested in getting rid of it, or can we use it? And the gentleman said, yes, we want to talk to you about it, and he referred the gentleman to me, and I started talking to him. So alhamdulillah, you know, after some talking to him, he actually donated the property for $1 to the mosque. So actually we went from 2 acres, we purchased an acre, 3 acres, and we got a free acre. So we're about 4 acres now, alhamdulillah.
Construction was a 5-year project. MashaAllah, our Khuddam and Itfal and Sar, every Saturday from 8 o'clock, as long as they can do, take the debris out, help them out with the paintings, because there was certain possibility they can do.
We saved a lot of money in not hiring outside contractors to do clean up the masjid on a daily basis.
If we add up those hours, it's in thousands hours that these young people have participated.
Our team worked together in trying to save those funds so they could be better used for other things.
And some of them were not able to help us financially, but at least with the labor and the dignity and the Wakari Amal, they were here every Saturday.
This young Khuddam from California, he came out for 4 days and worked with us on the calligraphy of the masjid. He donated about 4 days' time where he came and did a lot of the dome work and the minaret work with us.
With construction in full force, the costs started to mount. And so, as per the tradition of the Ahmadiyya community, the Philadelphia chapter pooled together to make large financial sacrifices.
The Amir Sahib at that time told me we have to raise funds to build this mosque, because this 1 million is not going to be enough.
So a lot of people wanted to help with this wonderful cause.
People have made a lot of sacrifices at that time.
A lot of families donated. Some financially weren't able to donate, but they donated jewelry.
I went to California. I think in Washington State, a lady bought his whole box of his jewelry. And they said, we don't need it. I told her husband, buy it from her. She said, no, I want to give them this one. And this was the same thing in the city of Philadelphia. Children have their packages, and they brought the changes for us. Somebody bring all the silverware they have.
So there was one family that donated over $250,000 over the last 8 years period. May Allah bless them for their effort.
By the grace of Allah, the mosque is now complete and proudly stands as the first purpose-built mosque in the city of Philadelphia. The mosque will inshallah become the focal point for the community to continue to spread the teachings of Islam and become a beacon of hope and peace in this great city.
All my prayers were answered with this mosque being built. I mean, it's a place that is 100-fold better than where we were.
Let's use this building to build this community.